Doesn't take any. Oh, welcome to the Facebook Live. I mean, all our lives. We're live everywhere. We're live everywhere. Jesse Bless, Greg Siska, Chuck Cook, and excuse Aaron Hall, who's got a hearing this morning. Greg, it's good to have you back in America. I think you've been gone forever. And you sound like I feel. I have COVID, so I'm home.
I have allergies.
You have allergies. I have COVID. You actually sound worse than I do.
I have
and Jesse's in a ski lodge in Colorado, near as I can tell.
Mentally, I'm getting there. I'm telling you.
So we have to start off with this. So Jesse had oral argument on the EB-5 issue about, and the case was really about discovery and whether a case should be dismissed. I mean, but Jesse, how was your oral argument?
Yeah, well, it's crazy because people who live in the immigration world hear about first in, first out, visa availability processing, and it was before the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, which are a step below the Supreme Court, and we go and they start asking me that criticizing my complaint, saying, well, you didn't tell us, you don't show or even claim that other South Africans skipped your clients. And my clients are from South Africa. I'm sitting there going, what? I go, that's not how they do it for immigrant visas in the EB-5 world. And she looks at me and she goes, well, I'm on the USCIS website. And I was like, well, shouldn't be doing that.
Okay. Computer, she's actually on the website.
I swear to God. So I'm like, okay, let's go with it. I'm like, okay. I go read it, and I think this is actually on YouTube, I think. And so it's and she's like, well, it says that they do it according to what's available by the country. And I said, yeah, what they're referring to is, Schedule B of the visa bulletin. And there's only that's really relevant if they're coming up to the cap and they need to retrogress. So I can tell I'm losing her when I start using, now her head's about to explode, right?
She's gone at this point. You've
totally gone. So then though, and again, I'm not going to criticize my colleagues from the other side, but they asked the government to correct anything that I said or my counterpart, Mr. Brad Banna, said was wrong. And he said, well, I don't know much about the visa availability approach, but I can tell you that it's not an issue in this case. And the judges, and my jaw dropped. I'm like, and the judges, as you said, Chuck, earlier, like the judge was like, that is the issue in this case. Like, what are you talking about?
That's the whole issue in the case.
I will say though, the best part of the entire day, and I'm telling the audience this because this is the effort that I put in for IMMPAct. I got out of court at 11:30, and I had a 12:30 flight taking off at 12:30. I put my hand between the door shutting on the gate to get in, and I made it. So
good job.
That was the best part of the entire day, though, to be honest with you.
That's too bad because oral argument, I've always enjoyed oral arguments. And I think you're really good at oral arguments. I've watched you do them. And Judge Henderson, for those of our friends in the lottery area, that she was the judge in a lottery case who basically didn't say a word in our oral argument. She had made up her mind long before oral argument in that case, and she's not in our favor. And yet here she's the lead judge and doesn't understand the visa availability approach. Well, and the government doesn't either, which is not shocking at all.
Yeah,
at all. I'm so excited about this, though. I'm going to watch your oral argument because when we go back in front of our judge in California in our IB5 case, after we get our discovery, and I'll be able to show her, see, they lied. They lied about visa availability.
I think the takeaway for the audience really is about federal judges, though, in our judicial system, because we're asked constantly, what do you think is going to happen? What do you expect? And, when we're so tunnel vision on immigration and we think we know it, and it's just so complex. I think it's just so complex that judges are unpredictable by nature, but in immigration, you just can't tell. I mean, the Supreme Court just issued a fabulous ruling that no one saw coming on exhaustion.
9-0.
Correct.
9-0.
Correct. So don't ask me. I guess you can ask me, but don't expect me to know how a federal judge is going to decide cases.
Well, and that's a 9-0 ruling in the Supreme Court. After last year, they ruled in a terrible case in Patel, which they were clearly wrong on. And yet it's because federal judges don't understand immigration law. They don't. And our job is to explain it to them and so they understand it. That's why I'm so excited about our EB5 case in IR is we got over the hump, the first case over the hump on discovery, because now we're going to be able to show them. Now we've got the judge's attention. She's going to go, why has nobody else asked this question before? Why is nobody else? Well, Judge, we haven't gotten that far. The government has sufficiently put up roadblocks before for everybody else to get this information. So anyway, I hope you get a good decision, Jesse. I hope it comes out after I get all my stuff from my judge. I hope it comes out long after our friends in the DV lottery sphere have a decision in hand. So did you ask Judge Henderson where that decision was when you had a chance? I mean, you were right in front of her.
Yeah, tell her people are asking.
Judge, I have a question unrelated to this case. Where's the lottery decision?
I actually invited her on. I invited her onto the call today and she declined. But no, I have let her know. I showed her my phone and my DMs. I showed her my DMs from all the expecting DV recipients.
Yes.
So, no.
Completing. Hey, United for Ukraine, we're about to file the lawsuit to get that money back again in DC. We're looking forward to doing that. That's just a really brief update. But we did want to spend just a few minutes talking about our 601 litigation. We find this is not the delay litigation for 601A. This is the delay litigation on 601s. And there it is. This is just to let you know, all those that have signed up since we filed, they will be amended to the complaint this Friday. So if you have a 601 waiver case that's pending longer than 12 months, you need to join this week, like next day or so. And we're going to be adding those to the complaint on Friday. So there is that. Now, the one everybody wants to know about, the 601A delay litigation with A-Law, we have nothing from the court yet. We're just waiting. And there's nothing we can do to force the court to make a faster decision. So we patiently wait with optimism and faith. That's what we do. That's what we do. Jesse, Greg, you have anything to add to that, to the optimism and faith aspect?
I think too, like for Outtakes, we have a joint status report. We have to prepare discovery. So we just gotta wait for judge.
Actually, Chuck, why don't you just sort of for people just outline what the timing requirements actually are as far as like each step, because I think that that might help as far as like, after the complaint and the motion to dismiss and et cetera, like where are we?
Well, we are fully briefed on a lot of different things, including a government motion to dismiss and a class certification request. And a joint status report. Everything that we are required to do by rule is done.
Right. And everything the government was required to do is also done. So so it's just basically waiting on the judge for.
What we're doing now is we're beginning the process for outlining how discovery is going to take place. But the government's not going to do anything on that until the court rules on their own motion to dismiss.
Right, and that's open as far as when the judge actually makes that decision. So that could be literally any time, or it could be a while.
Right. We do have, just FYI, we have at least one other. I think we have one other plaintiff that has had their case approved. I don't know, Greg, if you've run that report, but I think somebody else on the Facebook group that we got an approval. Somebody was noticing on there that somebody filed an individual mandamus and they got a decision within 60 days.
We now have three plaintiffs approved
for more than 3 years, so they were beyond the pale. So that's why that happened. Most of our plaintiffs have not been pending beyond the processing times, and we also note that they have increased the processing times last week. They went up to 44 months and 38 months respectively. And of course, a lot of people got transfer notices 3 different times in a couple of days. But I don't know, Greg, you have anything to report on your report?
Yeah, so we've had two approved in the this week. One was looks like was filed in September 2019, and the other was filed in February 2020. As far as how old the cases were,
they're picking off the older cases. It looks like.
Right. I mean, I don't know if it's a trend. It is interesting that there were 2 in one day.
Well, maybe that's the officer that picked them up at the service center and drove them to their house without getting in an accident, and got that work done.
Yeah, I mean, one is a YSC number and the other is an LIN number. I don't know if that matters.
We at this point, because they've been playing musical chairs, who knows where anything is at this point.
Yeah.
So that's
I will tell you that one said that they had their case transferred both on April 28th, and again they had a notification saying it was transferred on May 1st, and then the other one had a transfer on May 4th. So it's interesting that they were in the recent batch of transfers.
And of course, the Hart Service Center is still not an option for review on the website. So it doesn't exist as far as CIS is concerned for processing times. And I can't tell that they've done any casework at all, even though they supposedly are staffed at, they're already staffed up to a certain level.
At the Hart.
So that's kind of our update just from us. Let's take a look at some questions.
Oh, Chuck, one thing I thought before we get into that, was interesting was that track report on mandamus litigation.
Oh, yeah. 10,000 cases pending in federal court. Record number, never had the number for on immigration. That does help explain the government's response in a lot of our litigation, which is we're going to fight. Well, they're going to fight. They got 10,000 cases to fight.
They clearly don't have the resources to fight back on all those cases. So it is they're going to have to come up with alternative approaches other than just fighting back on litigation.
It's a shocking number, but it is my dream. It's my dream that this is happening. I put it on Twitter, when I was ALO president, part of my speech was, we need to sue more. We're not suing them enough. And that was 15 years ago this June that I gave that speech. So I'm excited to see it finally come to fruition. We have a whole generation of lawyers that are lawyering and going to court. I think it's wonderful, because this is how you make them make changes. This is how they're going to do it. This is how they're going to do it. Will Judge Lynn make it this week? I don't know. I mean, I hope so. I wish she'd make it right now, but I don't know. Waiver be adjudicated first. Well, again, at this stage, this is the motion to dismiss stage. This isn't the final win stage. So no, the answer to the question is no, not at this stage. But ultimately, when we get to that stage, if you're not yet adjudicated, because there are clearly adjudicated cases while we're doing this, we suspect that they will be done first.
The motivation, if we're successful in the motion to dismiss, the government is going to be much more likely to be interested in settling with us, and to do that, part of that would involve the plaintiffs being adjudicated, but there are a lot of other things that we're going to ask for. But that's so that decision will mean more than just discovery. It should put us in a much better position to negotiate an end.
But I will tell you, Greg, negotiating with the government is like it's like making cheese. It takes a long time to age.
Well, and they also it's kind of scammy as far as like being actually negotiating, because you're not actually ever having a conversation with the government. You're having a conversation with their lawyers who say they'll take it back, and then you get sort of an obscure answer, or I guess a unclear answer when they're coming back. So it is not it's not an actual negotiation with people would think of as a conversation.
But I think in this case, we'll have an advantage of having that schedule in place for discovery and a decision. And we're just going to keep operating as if that's how we're going. And if they want to settle with us, we're not going to pause. We're just going to
pause that thing, right? We're going to keep going, do it while we're going on. Any news in Go? Nope. Jesse, he had a chance to ask the judge, and he didn't do it. I'm just shocked.
Blame me.
You were right there.
at BLESJM1, you can DM me. No. Yeah, I think it's a really hard case. I think it's going to change. I was hoping for like a really narrow win, which would have been a quicker thing, but maybe it's going to be a bigger deal. It's a tough case.
Well, clearly it's a big deal. Nebraska 601, we mentioned that just a few minutes ago. They're amending. The 60 days is running. They've been served. we're going to amend the complaint this Friday, but the remaining plaintiffs, and then the government, we're waiting for them to enter their appearance and move forward. Class motions rule together. Well, they're both filed. They don't have to necessarily rule on together. Judge could deny class certification and then also deny the motion to dismiss. So I don't think they can do that though. I think she chooses a class here. She, and trust me, the judge is aware there's 10,000 cases pending as well. So any H-1B FOIA updates? No, because I just served the government, and so the clock's only about 30 days in. So the only thing I'm missing from my FOIA request, by the way, they produced everything else publicly when they admitted that they got scammed by everybody. The state, what they haven't never given out, and no, I don't think a lot of lawyers realize, they've actually never said how many new H-1Bs they've issued each year. If you go back and look, you will not find that information. You will see how many H's they approved each year overall, but they will not tell you how many new H's they've done.
I'll tell you the one thing that concerns me, because I'm seeing it happen, and I've said it before, the one thing that concerns me with all the, whatever you want to call it, fraud, misreps, or just false job offers and job, I think so many people are going to get permanent bars out of this, and there's going to be some consultants that they're just going to come after them. They hate this program, so don't like, oh, it's a scam, nothing's happening. I think you are going to see something happen. I think the agency is going to absolutely drop the hammer on people, unfortunately, who are probably duped. And then some of these consultant companies are going to ruin it for those that are actually doing good work. So change is coming one way or another.
We've been screaming from the rooftops for 3 years about this.
Yeah.
All right, Kiara, we have about 218 cases. We have not done that yet because we need to put it in a way that doesn't look. In court cases, you are required to respond in certain ways, and you can't basically engage in any ex parte communication. So we're putting this in a way that's both understandable and acceptable to the court. So hopefully we'll be able to get that done this week, Kiara. Gustavo, is it possible you can order the adjudication without a marriage interview to avoid marriage interview? I don't understand that question.
Oh, I think they're saying to skip the consular processing.
Oh, no, you can't skip consular processing unless you get a travel document. Particularly, my name is misspelled. Quickly. Evo. Greg, would you look into Evo's misspelling?
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
Rachel, are there any important dates the judge coming up that you know of? No. We're just prodding along on our discovery schedule.
Yeah.
Getting approved or getting RFEs. 2 straight approvals. We know. I don't. Greg, do you see any RFEs on your list?
No, nothing actually aside from those 2 approvals. And there was something that said a name was updated. Other than that, nothing has been happening since all those cases were transferred on May 4th.
This is a question I love. What is the USCIS strategy in transferring cases back and forth? That is an excellent question. I will tell you this, Greg. We have a meeting coming up in June in Orlando, and I believe Director Chadu is going to be at that meeting.
I haven't heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised. She addressed us last year.
Yeah, and she had
she said, please don't sue.
Yeah, she says, talk to us first, and of course they won't. So
it's like, okay.
Is she the speaker? Is she the speaker at the introduction of the new president?
They had no. They had a town hall, not a town hall. They had kind of a Johnny Carson interview with her for like 30 minutes at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything, but we'll, if we get a chance, Greg and I and Aaron and everybody else is going to wrangle her and say, hey, what the heck? I don't have any idea what their strategy is. None. According to transfer notice, went back to Nebraska. Transfer been lettered down 40 months there at 38. Again, how the system works, Evo, it's broken. The whole thing is broken.
Yeah, if it said 5 months tomorrow, what would that change?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that the whole thing is broken. Do you handle individual? Yes, we do handle. Each of us handles individual lawsuits. Happy to do that as well. Whatever you'd like to do. We love suing the government. It's one of my favorite things. I didn't think I just hit. I think I just hit number 300. I went back and I looked at my own PACER history, and my PACER history starts in 1989. I am that old. Jesse was in 3rd grade in 1989.
1989, I was in 3rd grade.
I graduated law school in 1990, so I'm not too far behind you.
You're not too far behind me. Mr. Goka, the letter we received states they moved back to Nebraska, and we'll find out if it's true or not. Yeah, that's a lie, by the way. You know, they just making that stuff up. Yeah. Why Americans don't like Canada? I love Canada.
I love it.
I'm ready. Canada.
There's no bigger fan of maple syrup than me.
I can throw a rock to Canada.
Greg, does it all show case for transfer recently? I know the majority of us were. I mean, Greg, you probably have a long list. There's a lot of transfers.
Yeah, and there were a huge number of transfers on May 4th, and we haven't seen anything since. But these cases were actually not transferred on May 4th. No, I take that back. One of the approved ones was transferred on May 1st, so pretty close to that, and another one was transferred on May 4th that was in that batch. So take that for what you want.
Okay. Joe P got a job offer, I presume, in Canada, so go for it. Canada's got great immigration rules, but they're also behind. Please say again, original filing date for the recent 61 approvals, February, March. One was 2019 and one was February 2020. Those were the 2 approvals, if Greg was right. One was 2019. Jesse, any news on DV class represented by Ayla? The answer is
no. That's part of the go decisions. I mean, nope.
Are we going to let you know? Yes, we're going to. As soon as we have information,
we're just going to hide it from you.
You just emailed
me. We don't. We love being alive. What fun! We denied class.
Win or lose, we will tell you.
Class denial is for plaintiffs doesn't mean anything because your case moves forward. So we still represent your clients. Did you let the judge know about the recent? We already asked about that. Not the 2 we just got. We did not let them know. It's the screen name only. My actual name was well, Evo, the next time you say your name is misspelled, you probably want your actual name to show that. Evo's actual name was Alexander Darkjeff.
Oh,
great. Actually. If you're looking for Evo Antonov, you're not going to find it. Thank you, Evo, for doing that. How can an applicant check if his name be revoked or issued annoyed? You can actually go online to the USCIS.gov website and put your receipt number in. It will tell you.
Yep.
Sorry, the COVID is getting me. Ask Chadu, why aren't they adjudicated? Trust me, there'll be 4,000 lawyers there asking her the same thing.
I would like to ask her the question. Last year, she reported to us that there were 7,000 cases, lawsuits filed against her, and this year there are 10,000. I would like to know what their strategy is for reducing the number of lawsuits.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's rather than just saying talk to us, that's not an answer.
If you have evidence that someone filed a January 2023 601A waiver and it's approved, you have to give that to us. I do not believe that's accurate. Sorry.
If it is, it would be helpful to know.
We need to know it immediately if that's the case. That's not the case as far as I know. Hosting sessions weekly. How about the good job? Boy, I'm getting to the end of this call because I'm starting to get a cough.
I have a cough job.
Chatting with an agent. Yeah, I wish I had some here. I wish an agent place to tell me to transfer it back. How come they're agents? Look, they're agents that you call. You know what database they're looking at? The same one you're looking at online. Unless you're speaking to an officer, the agents who answer the phone do not have access to the internal system. They only have access to what you see online yourself. They don't have security clearance to see anything else. So if you want details about your case, you need to speak to an officer. I also joined, and my husband's last name was filed as incorrect. I put my last name. Adriana, send an email to Greg on that. And then finally, opinion decision in 2021, given this year. Yes.
By the way, for these folks who have an issue, if you're case number is correctly entered in the complaint, that's like the key fact. If there's an issue,
spelling error, please let us know. We can get that fixed. All right, we don't have anything else. I'm about to hack up a lung for my COVID lung today, and I feel better. I'll feel better tomorrow, I'm sure. Tomorrow is another day. Scarlett O'Hara. You guys have a great week, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Later.